All right, sum and product puzzles. We're going to do set 1 together just as notes, and then there's a set 2 and a set 3 that you can do on your own. So the directions say in each diagram below, write the two numbers on the sides of the x that are multiplied together to get the top number of the x, added together to get the bottom number of the x. I did not create this sheet. I want to do the ones that just have positive numbers first. So if we skip to number 2, we're looking for numbers that multiply to make 4 that add up to 4. So that's pretty easy. Your numbers are just going to be 2 and 2. And if we skip down to number 9, I know I'm going out of order, but this is how it's going to make sense. On number 9, we're multiplying to get 12, but adding to get 7. So that would be 3 and 4. So out to the side, just to show what we're thinking, 3 times 4 is 12. And 3 plus 4 is 7. So that's how we're getting these two numbers. Now when we start adding negatives into things, it makes it a little bit more interesting. So we'll do a couple that are kind of the same. On number 1, we are multiplying to get 9 and adding to get 6. Well, if I'm multiplying to get 9 and adding to get negative 6, if I pretended this was positive 6 for a second, that'd be easy. It'd be 3 and 3. To get negative 6, we just make them negative, because negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, and negative 3 plus negative 3 is negative 6. So that works. Let's do number 6. So we're multiplying to get 6, and we're adding to get negative 5. So negative 3 and negative 2 would work that, because negative 3 times negative 2 is 6, and negative 3 plus negative 2 is negative 5. So I think those are fairly easy. Now, when the number you're multiplying is negative, it gets a little bit trickier. So if we go up to number 3, we're multiplying to get negative 30, adding to get negative 13. So one way that I've had people look at this in the past is, okay, list all your factors of 30. So I could have 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 5 times 6. I think that's all of them. If this is negative, one of your answers is negative and one of them is positive, and this number is actually the difference. So you'd have to think about subtracting the numbers to get this. So if I'm looking for a difference of 13, I'm looking at a combination of 2 and 15. So if I use positive 2 and negative 15, that does add up to negative 13. So negative 15 times positive 2 is negative 30, and negative 15 plus 2 is negative 13. But listing out all the ways you can multiply to get this can help you figure out this number. Some of these are more difficult than others, so I'm going to skip around a little bit and save number 4 for last. Let's look at number 5 really quick. So I've got negative 24 and negative 5, so I like to list the factors of 24. So I've got 1 and 24, 2 and 12. You've got 3 and 8, 4 and 6. If this is negative, one of these is negative and the other is positive, so this is the difference between the two numbers. So you have to think about subtracting. So I notice 3 and 8 have a difference of 5. So if I want this to be negative, I'll make the 8 negative and the 3 positive, and that adds up to this. So just to summarize, negative 8 times 3 is negative 24. Negative 8 plus 3 is negative 5. Let's go down and do number 7. I know I'm skipping all over the place, but it's okay. So negative 15 and negative 14 are really close. So if I think about this, to get 15, 1 times 15 works, and it also has a difference of 14. So I just have to figure out which one's negative and which one's positive. So you want to help me do that? Yeah, so this has to be negative 15 and positive 1. I knew that's what you meant. So negative 15 and positive 1 would add up to negative 14. When I multiply them, I get negative 15. So when they're really close to each other like that, it's usually going to have a 1 in there if this is negative. Remember, if this is negative, you're going to have a negative and a positive. Okay, so let's look at number 8. So 75 is a bigger number. 1 times 75 is easy. 25 times 3 is easy, but we know that 5 goes into that too. So 5 goes into 75, I'm trying to think, 12, 13, 14, I think 15 times? Yes. And that would give us a difference of 10. So we'd have negative 15 and positive 10. So they, or wait, 5. I'm writing the wrong numbers. So they multiply to make negative 75 and they add to get negative 10. Now I don't know why, but this one seems to stump a lot of people, the negative 84. So this is where I might sit and work with a calculator to see, I think, though, maybe not, maybe 84. Okay, so to get 84, you know you've got 1 and 84. You could do 2 and 42. 84 does divide by 3. You have 3 and 28. 84 divides by 4. You have 4 and 21. 5 does not go in. I do not think. Yeah, 6 goes in. So 6 and 14. Multiply to make 84. And then 7 and 12 make 84. So it took me a little while to get there. I just was using a calculator to see if it does. I know it divides by 2. Does it divide by 3, 4, 6? And so I'm working down the list until I find something that has a difference of 5. Now this is a positive 5. So what does that tell me? I'm using 7 and 12.
So positive 12, negative 7.
And negative 7. So if I add those, I get 5. If I multiply them, I get negative 84. Very good.